purpose. There are other couple of sessions where, for example, tomorrow somebody would demonstrate in a real classroom as to how to handle cases inside the classroom. Then we'll come back and have a discussion on that. And there is something called a concept called peer learning, which is promoted by a professor in Harvard University in physics area called Eric Mazur. So we are trying to adopt peer learning for students to get conceptual clarity. So there's going to be a demonstration session on that day after tomorrow, okay, where again we come back and reflect upon this. So it's actually a learning exercise, for us teachers over here. So we look forward to a lot of valuable input from your side. You have recruited, I think, during the last
4 years.
Huh?
Last 4 years.
And thanks for that, first of all. Okay, and I think what is going to be extremely valuable for us, okay, to put it not negatively, are your dissatisfactions with our students. That is going to be the most valuable thing for us, because then we know that we have to do something. Okay, otherwise we'll be idle.
No, actually, it's been a mixed bag. So.
Okay, right. Okay, but then there might be some sort of opinions you might have formed about probably our students vis-a-vis the students from other institutions. Okay, so wherever there are gaps, we want to address those gaps also through as an institute as well as through our individual courses. So that is why we are over here, right? So if the industry is extremely happy with us, then we know that we are doing everything right. That cannot be any time in the world. It cannot be that. Okay, so there are definitely gaps, and there are definitely things which we have to do. Okay? So we look forward to a lot of advice and guidance from you. Unless the style with which we are adopting, okay, you are prepared. Okay, we are adopting is that some individual teacher would come and make a presentation on the type of rules for which the particular course is aimed at, and the sort of competencies for which we are training the students to that particular course. So we will witness that first of all, okay, and then react to that, and then you can come out with, okay, we want much more than others, and then our expectations are different, etc. And my request is that be blunt, okay, with us, okay.
I'm actually not okay, so
oh, okay, very good. Yeah, right. Yeah. That's what's going to help us.
Sir, would you have some paper and
yeah, right. Sorry. Some pad, Thomas George, sir, if you can. Just quickly telephone and arrange the pad would be nice, but then for the present I have sheets of paper. Okay. Fine. Yeah, please. I think I was mixed up. Doesn't matter. Right? So we will be having at least a minimum 2 presentations now, with you, because we understand that we are here. You are here with us, till lunchtime. Okay.
Am I right? Stay back till 4. That's maximum.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good. So then we can see probably more presentations even. Okay. And so they will present, and then we can react, and then you can even expand upon it and then come out with even other things, even unrelated to the particular course. It's okay. Okay. So Biju sir, would you like to add on anything or in terms of our expectations from the industry? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Many times, we get the feedback. It's a common feedback from the industry that voice or growth are not really, the expectations are very high. They cannot do many jobs. They can't go around sales or that. So that is the background for the whole idea about training of performance. So that if there is some kind of a doubting happening or things happening before they join. So they should not be finding the job for doing so the process. Most of them don't have time to train these people. So these are self-starters who do the job a little bit, and from there that is the background of the background.
That is, I think predominantly it's because of the aspirations they have there as an MBA.
Yeah.
That they are better than most other people with other degrees when they go into a company, and soon that whole illusion is shattered, and they understand that they also have to get their hands dirty and work hard. So, even if you look at students who pass out from the IIMs or any premier institute in the country, most of the brighter students opt for rural assignments because they get more hands-on experience in a more larger market. That is not something that students from institutes in Kerala that I have seen are willing to do. So that whole perception has to change as to how possibly working in a career than a job would help them out in the long run. See, it's predominantly because I believe students from the state are short-sighted in terms of what they want to achieve, personally in a career. That such a illusion exists. So they should understand that they need to understand the sector and understand the business by getting the hands dirty first, and then grow in the organization rather than feeling that okay, I've already achieved a personal milestone by being an MBA. That doesn't help, or that doesn't work anywhere. So personally, as far as our companies are concerned, we invest a significant amount of time and resources training the students before they actually start work. We invest at least 6 months in the candidate before they are ready to do the work, because we also understand. So what we look forward to is more an attitude to learn. Even if attitude can still be made up, but the attitude has to be there. So that is something, as you rightly mentioned, is lacking in most students. And that has to be addressed.
So what we are trying to tell here is that what we're trying to achieve here, well, there are companies who invest a lot of money and time on the trainees. But if you look at many other companies, they may not have the time. And the expectation from the bosses is that typically, first time bosses, if this man is MBA, they should be running the job. In reality, it doesn't matter. That you also know. So we are trying to bridge that gap. So when he goes into a company, let's say DCA student, this semester in a company, and then typical expectation of the boss would be MBA. But then if you can change that, building on a particular skill, which he has to get a particular job. That's what we're trying to achieve. Most business schools don't do that. It's more of a theoretical pursuit or a prospective pursuit. But here, that's the idea. So slowly it's turning around. So we're trying to make an attempt at that. So that initially when he's at a company, he, as well as the boss, he or she, as well as the boss, finds it a little better than the other guy. So he knows some lower level jobs, not lower level jobs. Correct?
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to achieve, which is not normally most MBA schools try. They train students to be at the CEO or the director level. That's the kind of input they see. And they go and work at the first level 6%. Disconnect happens.
No, it's not that the business schools are training them. It's, I think, predominantly because of the whole perception that they have about an MBA. We would be happy if students who are graduating out of schools can act at the director or CXO level. But unfortunately, they don't have the skill set to do that.
That's right. We also have interventions. We also seek interventions, and we have been doing that from the industry. Not only at the course design level. This is the course design level. So for every course, it's mandatory that we invite an executive who is working in that particular domain, okay, to come and interact with the students. Even sit through some of our classes and then interact with the students and bring out the domain knowledge of the person to the students, etc. Right? So that also is happening. Even after internships, when they make the presentations, we have people from the industry. I mean, we had at this time for the summer internship of PGDMs, we had executives coming from the industry to evaluate what they have done. So we are co-opting industry into many stages of ours, but then we are still not really happy. That we want more and more interventions, and we also want to see that we do things aligned with the needs of the industry. So that's where we are seeking help from people like you. Okay. That slide is not visible because okay, we are recording everything through Hangout into YouTube. Okay, so if you feel that it should not be, I mean, we are not putting it on public medium now. We are only putting it on restricted, for restricted access. But at some particular point of time, when we are proud of it, then we would like to put it on the public domain. Right? So we want to do this also for each and every class of ours over a period of time. Okay, so because we don't even require a video camera, so we require only a laptops, so we can record everything. So we want to get into that. So everything is recorded and everything is available for a larger number of people, etc. Right? So what I had written down over there is input sought from the industry. Are we doing something relevant for the industry or not? Are we targeting the right competencies and the right attitudes, which is said, okay, required for the effective performance of a junior executive or not, okay? And what should students be able to do after the course, for example, in a typical organization like yours, okay? Though we may not be able to train people for very specific organizations, we might be able to train people for a class of organizations, like software industry or the market research industry or advertising industry, BPOs, etc. We should be able to do that at least. Today, probably we are only training people for the generic industry, but from there, I think we should get into the classes of industries or segments of industries, and we should be able to do that at least. Okay? While it is unrealistic for us to train people for any particular firm as such, that probably may be unrealistic. Okay? So that's what we are attempting. The last 2 points over there with a gap, that is something where probably the resources are more available within the institutions. That is, are we training them in the right manner? Okay? And are we testing them in the right manner? That probably, the resources are more available within academic institutions than the industry. But we also do get a lot of information, a lot of feedback from the training and development wings of many organizations, because they do jobs similar to what we are doing. Okay? So there we get a lot of cues in terms of how to train students and how to also test them, even to validate whether whatever we are doing is right or not. Okay, so this is the spirit of this. We are doing the whole thing. Would you have any suggestions at this stage to us in terms of methodology which you are adopting? Okay.
No, I guess probably once I look at the presentations, I would be in a better position to.
Okay.
No, depends.
So I invite our senior faculty member, Dr. Srinivas Kupachi, to give a presentation on the course Financial Markets. Okay. Capital markets. Okay. Yeah.
I think you can actually expand using this.
Oh, there. Because I was trying to expand like with this, and it was not happening.
I think
it is gone now.
No, sir. You don't have to open that. I think.
Okay. So the first time we are doing this through Canvas and YouTube. We'll have to learn that.
I'm going to present how the course delivery will be related to certain finance subjects. And what are the competencies that are expected from the students. Yesterday we had a discussion. I had a discussion with the Professor Sunil, Professor Sanish, Dr. Raju, Professor Thomas George. And we arrived at a conclusion. The subjects relating to securities analysis, portfolio management, financial derivatives and risk management, capital markets and insurance services, these are mostly related to the capital markets. So the student must have an understanding about the capital markets, both primary and secondary. Primary market in the sense is related to IPO in the case of mutual funds. It is NFO. Sometimes it may be follow on public offering, FPO also. So, if the student completes this particular course, maybe in SAPM, DRM, capital markets, and of course insurance services, he will be able to get into an industry at the executive level. The industries are financial services industries. You can say, support some JRD, Securities Limited, we have Anagram Securities Limited, we have Sharekhan, we have like that. They can just entry level, they can become an executive in the financial services company, and with the knowledge, he can become a self-investor. Since he is gaining knowledge in the area of capital markets, and he can do his own stock investment or stock trading for himself, and he can act as an advisor to other investors. Initially, he may give advice to his family members, friends, and after some time, he may start his own firm for advising for his clients. So this is the job profile which is suitable if the student come across these subjects in our institution as per our courses. Next one, competencies aimed at by the faculty members who are teaching this particular area of subjects. They want to say comprehensive knowledge about capital markets. Whenever I use the term capital markets, please understand it includes both primary and secondary markets. Primary market, of course, you know that it includes merchant banking services also, pre-issue and post-issue management. So the person can become an executive in a financial services company in the area of merchant banking.
We have the freedom to react in between us.
So I just want to understand what would be the mode of instruction, what would be covered under, you say comprehensive knowledge about capital markets and say risk and return analysis. If you could broadly mention what would be covered, that would be helpful.
In the sense, you want me to show the entire syllabus?
No. I just want a brief idea as to what will be covered.
Yeah.
It was a comprehensive. You said about the primary market and the secondary market.
When we say primary market, the basic is the market banking checks. Pre-issue management. If a company is quoting its public issue, it will approach probably a merchant banker, and merchant banker will make all arrangements so that the issue will reach the prospective investor. So, what is the procedure there a merchant banker will follow? How he is going to do the particular one? The student will learn in the course to do undergo the particular course, maybe for about 40 or 60 hours. And post-issue management is also done. Then he will understand the listing procedure and how the stock is traded. Whether it is in a group A, group B, like that, and at the same time, which stock it is listed. Such comparison knowledge also will be given to the student in this capital market. Because not to make about 20 seconds. And risk return analysis, of course, what is the risk associated with a particular sector? What is the risk associated with a particular company? Chemical industry may be going well, but agriculture, which is producing synthetic industry, may not be performing as per the industry standards. So you should be able to select a particular industry out of several industries like automobile industry, FMCG like that, and you should be able to look at a particular company's share for investment using maybe analysis methods like revenue analysis. You can take, say for example, moving averages. You can take fundamental analysis. You can do technical analysis. You can do resistance level, support level. Such things you will do to get knowledge because you are going to teach them particular unit.
So are students encouraged to actually analyze a clutch of companies over a period of time, say 3 years or 5 years of financial performance, cross-linked to their market price?
That will be given to student and will be analyzed. Industry performance, how industry performed previous year, how industry is performing now, and what are the prospects of the industry for the next coming maybe 1 or 2 years.
Okay. So what I've noticed while I've been recruiting is that most students do not have any focus sector. B would not have gone through annual reports of any companies. So what we from industry would essentially like to do when you're looking at a student who's willing to or wanting to get into the capital market is that they should have at least a sector of choice, at least one sector of choice, wherein he's analyzed at least 4 to 5 companies, and he's able to correlate that with economics or your fundamental analysis as well as technical analysis of that particular share. So again, we need to understand if they understand what the implication of each and every corporate action has been, whether there are other trigger events. So For that, is the student, evaluating the company over a period of time. See, for investment, yes, I understand that, you might do a very short-term analysis to invest in the stock, but is there any exercise undertaken to, in fact, evaluate a company over a long time so that they're able to, make a more informed guess about the future?
Definitely, definitely, because
Can I also post the same thing to the other finance faculty over here? I hope there are, Sanil is there, who else? Satish Kumar is there, okay? Who else is teaching finance over here? Matthews, sir, and Thomas George, sir, over there, etc. I mean, I think what I understood is that, in different sessions of yours, you could probably deal with different companies, data. But then, is there in any course done by any of you an analysis of a few selected companies
No, sir.
over a period of time?
No. What I'm saying is, see, once you equip the students with, theoretical knowledge about how to analyze,
Okay.
I think it should be an ongoing process wherein they are, evaluated on a constant basis over time. It's not that this has to be, done at a classroom level where the faculty is instructing them to analyze. In whatever other time that they have on campus, they should be made to do assignments where, maybe say over a couple of weeks or a month, analyze a particular sector and make presentation. So that, when you have a group of students, say you have 50 students in finance and say different students taking different sectors, at least you will be covering 5 to 6 sectors, wherein, you can have, students who are presenting on a particular sector, then other students might pick up interest in that sector. You never know. So, in fact, that will also lead to a possibility that they might, target that sector as an area of interest where they want to work in the future, because they understand the dynamic of the business.
Cement industry is not going to perform for the next 3-4 years because of volumetric reasons or some issues related to real estate. Cement industry being a dependent sector, regarding sector, infrastructure, some issues, then I will not go away for analyzing each and every company. But even though the cement industry is not performing well, there is a possibility that one or two companies will do well in that particular industry. As you mentioned, that the industry analysis will be given to different groups. One will select automobile group, one will cement industry, one hotel industry, another one FMCG, airline industry, energy industry. Sector-wise, we will give, and we will ask the student to prepare a list of companies which can deliver returns for the year. That also we will do.
Also, there is also in the accounting program, it's like very important practice. You were saying about balance these two companies.
Yeah, you don't have to have PPTs, you just tell us.
That's the subject I mentioned that at the end of the course, students will be able to balance reading, profit and balance. In fact, they may be able to identify what are the items that present in the trading account and the profit and balance. With that sort of clear understanding on the different items that present on the different parts of the final account, that will be very clear. First of all.
So, sorry, your second or third objective. What is that? You were asking them to use real annual reports and then analyze them, etc. So tell us about that. Okay? Yeah.
My subject is making students compare, make a comment upon the financial, which the analysis of financial statement. So that I can take two firms in a particular industry. So I ask the students to compare that how does that two companies are performing, in which parameters this varies the performance. So that sort of skills that we are providing to financial accounting.
So ratio analysis would be covered here also, sir.
We are talking about the students not reading annual reports. Very valid. That's why we need to download annual reports. They can read all.
So that course, so I
See, the unfortunate part is, most students treat the annual report as something containing the balance sheet, cash flow statement, and the profit and loss account. I would appreciate it if the students can actually read the director's report, the auditor's report, and actually see there will be comments on what they see out of it, what they foresee happening in the sector, and what their risk factors are. So possibly, if you're looking at 3 years of annual report, you will see a trend wherein some of the numbers are reflecting their comments in the past annual.
That in fact yesterday also we are going to give that view also to the student how is supposed to understand that finance and that we are.
So would this be part of your classroom training or assignment?
No, it's classroom plus projects.
Plus projects.
They will come and present.
They will come.
If you have class of 60, they have 15 companies there for the
Okay.
and they're closing the accounts and everything.
So different groups will be given at different industries in companies and so they suppose if they come and present in the classroom, they might have a get idea about the different industries.
So this starts with the first semester accounting course, and then it is going to go on, for other courses also. So one thing which I think we understand is sector-wise analysis over a period of time.
No, actually, as a recruiter,
Yeah.
I would be happy if a student is interested in something.
Something.
Not my business
Yeah.
per se. At least something.
Okay.
So that more often than not, what I find students doing is they pick a subject or an area of interest based predominantly on faculty influence or peer influence. So, or third and the most dangerous, because it's easy to study or perceived as easy to study. They don't understand the real challenge, because I've seen a lot of people take up HR because they think it's an easy line of work. Trust me, HR is the most difficult because they need to know every aspect of business. They have to be a good HR man. They will need to know finance, they will need to know marketing, and they need to understand the business as a whole, which an easy course of study does not equip them to do, or rather a classroom instruction would not do. So they are very disillusioned once they pass out, and then they find that it's a totally different ball game. Unless and until you want to be recruiting for an insurance company or a bank for your retail channel. So they need to understand what the implications are of going into each and every specialization also. That I believe would happen once they understand sectors and understand how businesses work. So I don't think even in-depth financial analysis of a particular company will help them do that. I think probably at least from an HR perspective, I think it would be helpful if more people from industry who have been working in HR would give discourses. I think there's a severe disconnect as far as HR is concerned, because we don't look at specializations of students when we recruit. We look at, as I said, attitude and aptitude. HR, I personally feel there's a disconnect.
Yeah, partly because the students who look saying HR don't want MBA job. Then secondly, what is very correct. Apparently, they use it because it doesn't have any quantity. So these two people are very good. Very valid.
And probably I think after these two presentations, we would like to see an HR presentation by one of the faculty in the context of what he said. Okay. Okay. And I think one more point, if I understood you correctly, is to sustain this interest in these different sectors over a period of time beyond the subject and beyond the classroom. Okay. So that is also something which I think through each course we have to target that. The whole thing should not end up with a course, but there has to be a sustained interest. Maybe that can be brought ideally through some clubs, probably rather than.
I think the most common response is, I learned that 2 semesters ago. So I don't know what happened after that. That actually puts the recruiter off. You don't have sustained interest in the subject. So why are you sitting in front of me in the first place?
Can we continue?
So we will be able to construct a portfolio. Initially, what we do, we will go over some mock portfolios. For example, identify some stocks, make a portfolio, assume that you have invested in this particular amount, and daily observe the price of these securities, and maybe after 1 month, then at the weekend, that Friday evening, Saturday, Sunday, you analyze whether your portfolio is giving expected return to you or what is the risk associated. Whether both are according to your expectation or not, that also will be given to them. Training will be given to them.
Sir, okay, and this company instrument, do you discuss quasi-equity, quasi-debt instruments also? I mean, mixed instruments, do you quasi-equity, quasi-debt? I mean, more exotic instruments, do you discuss or?
Yeah, we discuss mainly about equity shares and debentures, bonds. Sometimes, promoters issue will be there. Promoters sell their stakes will buy them.
Any convertible investment? Only warrants.
Yeah. Sometimes debentures, convertible debentures also. GDR, ADR also will come in. But they are not for trading. At what time the GDR is going to be converted to shares? What is the period of warrants, and then it will be converted to number of shares. In case of Mercury Global, it happens. Share value and when it was trading at 278, came down 3. So that thing, we take example of say
the FCCBs.
Yeah, you said of the instrument. You should talk about tier 1 and tier 2 capital of money. And how the community would have long-term development when you go to the capital size, if you go to
Well, no, sir, I always want to understand, whether you're looking at, because a lot of Indian companies have floated a lot of exotic instruments in the last decade. So you can, even Reliance much before that. So, convertible debentures, one famous example is the triple option convertible debenture of Reliance. Optionally convertible preference. So, because the reason I'm asking is, students at least who are, have an analytical bent of mind would be interested, at least they will be more interested in the subject because, of the possibilities that the subject has to offer. And it's a welcome change in the recruit review. See that, somebody is gone out of the way to understand something exotic that's happening in the market.
that you will start with.
Okay.
Implementation will be. That is mock portfolio activity also will be done in the classroom, and then students are interested. We will ask them to construct a portfolio and invest in that activity. And regularly we review the performance of portfolio of some mutual funds. Take some mutual funds. Portfolio is already available. Now the return, what is the benchmark return, what is the return they achieve. That also we will discuss weekly. Saturday, Sunday we will run the stock market and students will get free to get the case, and probably Mondays and Tuesdays we will have that particular discussion about the performance, what went wrong with this particular mutual fund. Right? And I have not mentioned here the history of the promoters is also going to be a part of making an investment decision. That also we will do. In case of Switzerland Energy, Temptation Foods Limited, Indian such companies, Mercury Global, which are most successful. We will have a comparison and the qualitative analysis also will. So this is for the university examination.
That we need not discuss that.
So let me get it clear.
No, we know.
And we take the student to get registered with the National Stock Exchange IRDA examinations, so that their competency will be the certificate with the evidence that some of the competencies they developed in the classroom reading and lectures, case studies.
Actually, both these exams are very easy to pass.
Definitely very easy.
Sir,
There's not
honestly,
sufficient evidence.
it's not sufficient evidence. Because if you ask me honestly, even a BCom graduate will go and pass these exams. So it doesn't differentiate the students in any manner. Unless and until they are taking one of the difficult modules in NSE, which they don't. They take the basic ones.
Generally, that
And sir, honestly, if you ask me, the IRDA certification only has to be taken by students who are interested in going into the insurance sector. Because it's of no use. It's just a waste of time and money. whatever time they spend in preparing for the exams can be qualitatively used for something else.
Isn't there requires that terminology that is used in the capital market, especially in derivatives and this segment? Because somebody says for advertisement.
Sir, but
Such terminology, they will get acquainted over and above classroom study. That is the.
Sir, but even over the last 4 years, students who have passed these exams are not able to answer those questions. So,
Then you suggest us something you will impact.
sir, instead of the exams, I think it predominantly should reflect in how they come across as being knowledgeable about the sector. I personally don't see any value. Apart from the IRDA certification, yes, if somebody wants to go into insurance, that's an added advantage. Because they can, start as soon as they enter. Otherwise, they'll have to take the exam again.
But sometimes if you want to act as a investment advisor, then you stock exchange or the particular company with whom he is working may ask for this certification. Knowledge is different from certification.
Okay, I think probably these have some benefits somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But then I think the point, if I understand correctly, is this is not sufficient. This evidence is not sufficient on the one hand. Okay, on the other hand, the recruiters have their own mechanism at the time of interview and subsequently also to test whether they have the required knowledge
But
and
I'm
skills
saying
or
this
not.
can be a handicap.
Okay.
If you take this exam and you can't answer,
Yeah.
that shows something entirely different to a recruiter. So students who are actually serious and who can actually, answer questions should be taking these exams, not everybody.
In this, any particular module would you recommend in NSE? Particular module?
That I can look back and revert, sir.
Now, something like DLS modular, NSDL, that things, no?
Some NCFM,
Our
they do.
students are all passing a module.
NCFM.
That according to him, even BComs can pass very.
So you've been in the industry, sir. So,
The point is, Ajay is trying to say, what students might be doing this project, doing this course. But after that, they just, they're not in touch with that. So there's a disconnect when they interview.
Correct.
So they might ask about a company, they might talk about 7 or 8 months back when the company was trading at this particular level. Isn't there any significance in recruiting interview? That is what probably is.
Yeah. So this has to be an ongoing program, probably merging with the recruitment and then with his life later on. Okay. So it has to be probably done even outside the classroom, outside the regular courses.
That's
So-
not just calling for certification, but well, certification only mentioned in the lower level of the. Second probably is that by the time they get certificate, they think that they are quite well versed with the subject, and now they need not prepare. So they will interview certificate.
This insurance or select company, they require at
saying that-
least somebody was passed the IRDA exam. Because after the IRDA exam, they.
So what I'm saying is, no,
Sir,
I said, sir, IRDA, what I was saying, only students.
Because there is a system by which we give the internal assessment or even PGDM full assessment, some part of the assignment, part of the weightage of the assessment based upon their performance in these outside tests. Okay. So they also get a certification along with our own marks and grades, etc.
No.
So that's an additional thing which they can. So we give some incentive so that they have some motivation to go and do these things also, okay, in case they want to join the industry. So I think we can come back now to your first slide. That is where you are specified for what sort of jobs or for what sort of competencies are you training the people. Okay. Yeah. From here, this and the next one. Okay. Let's start with this. Let's start with that. start with that. Go back. Do you have any comment upon this? Would you like to have something more than this? Would you like to throw anything in this, etc.?
Sir, the second point and the third point are something that will probably come on later in their lives.
Later in this.
Becoming a personal investor, yes. A student might become a personal investor by investing, say, not a significant amount of money. And being an investment advisor will take time. If somebody else has to enter their money, it will take time for that to happen. So, and possibly, becoming a personal investor or an investment advisor will come as a function of them actually facing the industry, learning the industry, and then being able to apply their skills to both those. Becoming an executive in the financial services company, I believe, is low-hanging fruit. I don't think that you should be motivating an executive in a financial services company, but you should probably to becoming something larger. See, at least they should be trained to become a research analyst. See, I understand they cannot possibly, all of them cannot possibly be, but at least they should be able to aspire to become one. See, there are a lot of jobs in the KPO sector also now. I believe Deloitte recruits from the campus. At least, and the problem that you face is the kind of work that you end up doing in a KPO also matters. You will be doing something that is more rudimentary, data entry level, which can be, alternated with something like, say, doing research analysis for a foreign, if they are good enough, or they have the requisite skill set to do that. So, and there are a lot of KPOs that are coming up, possibly, and it pays very well also. So, at least, they should be having that skill set to adapt that job role in a KPO. I understand there are not enough research analyst jobs available in the market here, but again, those jobs are still available in the KPO sector. Even if you're not targeting companies in, say, Kerala, you can always target companies in Bombay or Gurgaon which are doing the same. And there's a real requirement for students there. Because again, see, the problem with being in a financial services company, A, you end up addressing the retail channel, and B, you end up doing sales. So, unless and until you get into something, and it causes disillusionment more than anything else. A lot of students want to get into banks because they think it's a 9 to 5 and that they don't have to do sales. But unfortunately, that's not the case today. Even the banks are, strengthening the retail channel. So they should be aware of the fact that, being an executive in a financial services company, means this. And I don't think, we should only them to be that. I believe you should definitely go beyond that. Even somebody being an assistant manager or an executive in corporate finance, there are a lot of homegrown companies in Kerala who are looking at. It's not accounts alone. Even if you have a fundamental understanding of accounts, the ability to, manage working capital or cash flow is an added advantage. But you need to understand those. And it's not that, you need to look at one subject in isolation. It's a combination of all subjects together.
Project management, also included. That will act as a supplement for analysis.
You got some other slide on that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Something missing in that, right?
No.
Capital structure part, capital budgeting part, cash flows, capital raising part, dividend payout, dividend release part, help them analyze the financial company or industry. That is why I mentioned
what is covered under project finance?
That is what you said, long-term finance, long-term sources of funds. What are the ways by which you can raise the funds for financing the particular project, depending upon the duration of the project.
So do you actually do analysis of how a project will look like if it's financed and do a sensitivity analysis of that?
Feasibility analysis, like what
It will be there.
feasibility analysis.
Feasibility and sensitivity.
See, once you say a particular project, go to the price of the project, feasibility report, then you project, then only the question of financing project.
So what I want to understand is there any exercise wherein students to make a financial model wherein they understand the implications of each kind of instrument on the project finance, and if some instrument is coming at a variable cost, what impact or sensitivity can have on the entire project? Okay. Yes, sir. So it's more case of getting the students more involved and how at least basic cash flow. Suppose I know as a company that my revenue streams are going to be ABC. I know my fixed expenses. I know what this is going to be the variable expense. This is going to be my project cost. So typically at the cash flow level you would be working out what your IRR would be for the project and whether your IRR would be greater than your cost of capital. We need to understand cost of capital, we need to understand IRR, we need to understand. So, what is my variable cost take and what is my cost of capital? So, how does it impact the entire project? So, at least from not only theory, the entire theory in the interactive form, they should be able to analyze. So, it makes it easier for them to learn. And, at least when they go to industry, even as the practical aspect in the working model.
Analysis is something.
Sensitivity, yes.
Yeah.
Mathematical subjects. Every implication can be, math and benefit can always be analyzed. So I think students will be encouraged. At least get them thinking.
Yeah.
It should not be treated as a boring subject.
See, I mean, I'm just asking a very broad question now. When you recruit a person with a finance specialization, the lowest level in the organization, okay, what do you make him do, and what ideally would you like to make him do?
Because we make them make financial models. So what we do is around 6 months.
Okay.
So I don't think we should as a
Fine.
a benchmark because it's an investment banking boutique firm. What we do is, depending on the kind of projects, we ask them to make a financial model. So it would be a basic assumption sheet, your sensitivity sheet, then your balance sheet, your P&L and profit and loss account. Then you would be having the trigger. So it will be about 15 to 20 worksheets in a model. So we train them to get there in about 6 months. So I don't think that
We should not target the
we don't
outcome of your 6 months.
No, we don't. Okay. See, entry point ideally, a student should be very clear how a balance sheet, how a cash flow, and how a P&L is linked, how to do ratio analysis, and how if any element in the balance sheet or the P&L account changes, what is the impact on the other two, and how ratios change, what are the implications ratios changing, and how you should be able to understand that. Standalone, if you look at ratios, sometimes it might look very positive, but in fact, if you look at it in cross-linkage with some other factors, it might be negative. So, then, first and foremost, we need to see if the students can have an analytical bent of mind. So, for that, I think the institute will some effort to train students to think in that way, or force students to think in that way. That is why I asked if you can look at Excel-based exercises At least, you know, they'll start thinking once the numbers changing.
The first semester itself, are we pushing them to use Excel because you have your analysis of analysis of annual reports. So there you have analysis of financial statements. So are they using Excel for it? Did they use Excel last year for it?
So I think the first thing you should do is have a big section on Excel.
We're going to have it, right? We have a bridge course this year where Excel is. The bridge course Excel is there, right? But the only thing is Excel including financial formulae, etc.
No, financial formula as they learn, they can create them.
Yeah, but then take it to the level of sensitivity analysis without financial formula, even that can be done.
It's nothing difficult.
It's nothing difficult at all. So we change cells. That is all.
You don't need to do anything in Excel to do this. Excel, you need to understand what you put in and how you analyze it.
Correct. I think I don't think our students have started using Excel even for case analysis. So then abroad it is, you go with your Excel sheet, you know.
It makes it a lot easier. The problem here is it should be, your analysis should be more qualitative rather than subjective. Or personal. You know,
after the output from the Excel, etc., then it is all
because you know, analysis might throw up something that is very different from what you envisage it to be.
Sorry, the rain is creating. With us.
Totally fine.
To get a different room for this, at least during this season. We'll have a break now. Rain.